Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing really well. All right, so today we're going to be looking into the upcoming GenesysGo IDO platform. They're planning to launch this IDO platform for projects to go ahead and launch their token. So IDO platform basically means initial DEX offering, and it's a platform. Okay, so it's a platform as a service, you can say. All right, so recently, like just to take a step back, like we have seen in the recent past, like in Jan 4th, that Genesis Go did their IDO, which was on Jan 4th, and they did their IDO on this website, which is ido.genesis.go .com, and people were able to go ahead and get the shadow tokens by depositing shadow for 24 hours time, and after 24 hours you're able to redeem it, right? So basically they saw that success of that IDO itself, and the whole IDO was done by the shadow operators. We will get into all the nitty-gritty details in just a bit, but all you need to understand for right now is that this IDO platform is going to be a bit different than what we usually have in the Web3 space or in the digital asset space. And because why? Because first thing is, like, there are three main things, okay? It's going to be trustless, it's going to be much more decentralized, and this is going to create another layer of utility around the Shadow token, which belongs to the Shadow protocol, which is a currency within the Shadow protocol. And Shadow protocol is being built by Genesis Go. And who is Genesis Go? Genesis Go is one of the largest infrastructure project provider within the Solana blockchain, and they power approximately over 50% of the whole Solana blockchain network. Okay, so people can use their validator services, their RPC services, and now they're also coming up with the Shadow protocol, and the Shadow operators will also be running decentralized RPC networks on that as well. All right, but just to take one other step back, and if this is the first time that you're watching my videos about Genesis Go, I would highly recommend you to go ahead and Google data storage on Solana, just like this, as you see over here, and then you would find one of my video, which is around like 1 hour, as you see over here. All right, and go ahead and watch this video if you haven't already. If you watched this video, you will understand what Genesis Go is doing and how they are actually enhancing or making much more greater impact in the positive side of things for Solana. And also they are building a storage solution which could be used by any other network in the Web3 ecosystem, okay, by any other protocol as well. All right, so you would understand all those key benefits, and you would also understand about the data storage and the computation side of things. It's explained in greater detail in that video. So go ahead and watch that video. All right, so once you do that, you will be able to relate much more to this video that we are to this explanation right now, which we are going to do right now. All right, so basically, what I've done is I've gone ahead, and as you can see, like recently they posted a Medium article, and they just introducing this IDEO platform to their users or to their community, and also to the whole Solana network, basically, because people leveraging the Solana network can go ahead and use this platform. All right. So what I've done is I've went ahead and highlighted a few points over here so that it is much more easier for me to go ahead and just share some of my thoughts. And also, I would love to know your thoughts as well. What do you think? Maybe you've already read this document or this article, and you can share your thoughts as well. I would love to know about it. And yeah, all the links I will definitely link it within the description. All right. So let's jump in right now. All right, so Genesis Go, the IDO platform. All right, so Basically, so this IDEO platform, like I mentioned, this is going to be an additional service or an additional product that they are building. All right. So, and as we know, as I've explained you like briefly, and also within this video, you will understand that Genesis Go is already an infrastructure provider. Okay, they power the Solana blockchain. Over 50% of the network, like the load of the network is done by Genesis Go already. And once they have seen the success of their IDO platform, they decided, hey, like, look, we are going to do an IDO for our own token, for our own project, for our own token, which was the SHDW token. All right, so maybe you've participated in that, and you know how smooth it was throughout the whole entire 24 hours, and so on and so forth. So they already provide all these infrastructures. So basically, they were already into hardware, and now they brought in much more team, the software developers, in order to actually amplify their whole project itself. All right, so they already provide this infrastructure, like they are already an infrastructure company. And like let's say if you're an infrastructure company, for example, okay, let's say you are Google, okay, and would you be leveraging someone else's cloud services like Amazon's or something? You'd be leveraging the Google Cloud Platform, right? Because that is your own cloud service platform. Because if you don't use your own platform, how do you expect your customers or your clients or other businesses to use your platform? How do you actually sell this as a product to your clients? You get the idea. Like, let's say, for example, you produce, you make, like, let's say Apple. Everyone in Apple uses Apple products. Why? Because that is the technology what they have built, right? So it's the same thing. It's like trusting your own product, because your product, whoever manufactures a product thinks that product is the best, and they tend to rely on that. So that's the one thing, and that's almost the same thing. Like being an infrastructure company and having to rely on someone else's infrastructure is kind of saying like, hey, my product is not good, so that's why I use someone else's. All right, so that's the whole idea of the example, and what they are trying to do. So basically, what they say over here, after the shadow IDO ended, which was this Shadow IDO, which ended on Jan 5th, and Jan 4th was when it started. And once after that ended, we realized that we were basically 90% of the way to an IDO platform already. Okay, so basically because after doing the IDO itself, they realized like, hey, they had all the components what they needed to actually create a platform for others to use, and they had 90% of those components already to create this platform. Okay, so and then they realize, hey, all they need is the another 10%, and the most 10% is basically the software side of things. All right, so which we'll get into as we explore through the highlighted points over here. And basically, why are they trying to create this trustless, decentralized, and much more open platform, which is which no one actually controls, like, or no one actually has much influence over? Is because, like, as we have seen, like, in during NFT mints, or maybe like different IDOs, there are so many bots who just come, and who you get all these sort of like botted like transactions, and maybe some of them fail because there's a lot of load in the network, and so on and so forth. And since the software, Solana is a software, it's still iterating. So there's a lot of these challenges that they, as an infrastructure company, solves, and they have proven to solve in the open, like in the open market itself. Like, because as you have seen, like, the success of the IDO, there was is pretty smooth, and it just went through very smoothly. All right, so there was no bots, and in order to mitigate all of these sort of things, they decided like, hey, let's just build our own like IDO platform, offer it to the Solana community itself. All right. So, and also like we as we know, like most of the IDO platforms or like IDO Launchpad, they are centralized, like and so we don't want something which is centralized, which has a subjective element to it, so that like it can be influenced in the wrong way. So that's why you need to avoid that. All right. So that's why the decentralized IDO platform by GenesysGo is looking to solve one of those problem as well. And also we've seen like like right now, if you want to do an IDO, like you need to actually contact the IDO platform. You need to submit your application. You need to reach out to somebody who's going to take care of you, some account manager or some project manager or something like that. And then you need to wait for the people, the IDEO platform people to get in touch with you, and then they say, hey, these are our criterias. You need to give us that. You need to give us this. Make sure you have that. Make sure you have this. And there are lots of checks and balances. Okay, so like I mean, as an initial project owner or a single developer who actually wants to create a token and launch it out there, it's pretty challenging. At the same time, it's like you are relying on somebody that you aren't aware of, like their schedule. Maybe, of course, like maybe it's like this. For example, like you send someone an email, okay? Like imagine, and maybe that person opens your email and maybe they don't want to reply, or maybe they forget, or maybe they're just they have some other priorities, before replying to you. So you still gotta wait, right? Like you gotta wait for the response if you're really looking forward to a response. So that's the thing, you don't need to wait for a different IDEO platform to tell you what to do or how to do your own IDEO launch, because you have your own project. You know what's best for your community, and you want to do best what's best for your community and your project's ecosystem, right? So that's why they mentioned, like the 90% of the platform, like the IDEO platform, they already realized they had. Okay, so what they didn't have was basically a UI. Okay, UI is the sense, like user interface, which is nothing but like a website where people can go ahead and connect their whatever wallet they have, and they can just start customizing that. But we will get into that later. But yeah, so why was this IDO, the Genesis Go's IDO, unique? Why was it like unique? Because it was the first IDO which was powered by a decentralized RPC network on Solana. Okay, so this was one of the largest and one of the first IDO which happened on the Solana network, which was run by a decentralized network, RPC network. And who provides all this RPC network? Genesis Go. Okay, and now they are starting to move into this shadow protocol, which is going to be, the RPC network is going to be much more decentralized. That's what the decentralized side of things is. The decentralized RPC network is run by the shadow operators who are still in the alpha stage right now. Okay, and then here you can see like a dashboard, which is from their internal one of the dashboards they've shared over here, and you can see like different stats over here, request and was the capacity and of the shadow drive and so on and so forth. But these are like alpha numbers, like I mentioned, alpha, beta, and then you have like you go into full production. All right, so now they're testing it, and they have and the thing is they're testing it in production itself, because that's the way you make a software much more better, because you don't want to internally test it through all your like pen test and all of that stuff internally. You need to put it out there, and in live action you see what actually happens. Okay, so that's what they're doing, and that's what they have done, and they're offering this platform. They are going to offer this platform at a later stage. Okay, so and this is just a brief plan of what they just released, and what are their thoughts, how are they going to go about this, and so on and so forth. So as you see, Alpha Shadow Operators powered the first ever decentralized IDO on Solana network, and they did it like king and queens, so it's just like a metaphor, so that would basically mean that it's just like a success, okay, and it was pretty straightforward, nothing too complicated for them because they know what they're doing, and it was a huge success. And so that is why they're pretty confident because of their team of hardware engineers as well as software engineers who put together all of this together. All right, so they're trying to and of course, like, for sure, like, this success is just going to have this snowball effect, in the sense, like, in the near future, there's going to be different other IDO who does different other projects who wants to do the IDO through their platform, and it would just be maybe much bigger than this, and this is just the first instance. Okay, so that's why they're sharing this with the community, and yeah, the community already knows this, because the community was involved during the IDO, and they have seen it, how smooth it was. And it was not like in some other like IDO where everyone is like running around like and like, hey, it's going to go down right now. Of course we are excited, but the thing is, you understand when something is excited, and when something is like not right, like, that means you're forced to do something out of like feeling that FOMO, okay, that fear of missing out. Of course, but in this case, you had 24 hours, like, so that people from all around the world could actually participate in that, whoever wanted to, and there was no limit on how much you could deposit, because it was a Dutch style auction, so that, like, based on the amount of USDC you put in, and whatever is the final price, because the price started at 50 cents, and it closed around like 173. So based on that, it was proportionally distributed, and yeah, it was great, but let's look into, like, what are the unique aspects about this Genesis Go IDO platform, which they are planning to offer to the Solana ecosystem. So basically, like, as I've been iterating, and as is it is one of the most fundamental principles of, like, Web3 as a culture, or maybe you could say the ethos of Web3 is decentralization. Okay, so decentralization is why it is unique, and it's just not decentralized, just the word decentralized. They are really meaning it. Why? Because they are actually building all these IDO platform and everything on top of this RPC network and this validated networks, which are decentralized, which are decentralized in the sense they are in different geographical locations, and also it's run by the shadow operators who are participants in the network itself. And you can volunteer too and become a shadow operator. So anyone can participate in that, and you can power the IDOs happening through this upcoming Genesis Go's IDO platform. And of course, you'll be incentivized. We will get into that in just a bit. And so, yeah, it was powered by the largest decentralized RPC network. And it also, the second point you mentioned, decentralization again. Okay, so this is a different form of decentralization. Like I mentioned in just in a bit, like, most of the IDO platforms right now is centralized, and you need to reach out to someone, fill out an application form, and so on and so forth. But they are basically trying to make this experience as not as trustless as possible, but no trust at all. You don't have to trust Genesis Go. You don't have to get in touch with them. You don't have to message them. You don't have to, go and say, hey, Frankie, can we do this? Yeah, of course, you can ask questions, but, like, but the thing is, they're trying to make this whole experience so that you know what you're doing, and they are just offering you this platform, and you can do your IDO the way you choose fit. Okay, and just for the people who aren't aware of what IDO is, I would just think of, like, Okay, so if you know what is an IPO, IPO is basically initial public offering, which comes from the traditional finance side of things, but IDO is much more the Web3 side of things, okay, which is nothing but initial DEX offering. That means you have a token and you want to put it out there in the market, and you want to create a market. You want to add, like, people can go and trade your token, and you can create an economy based on your token. So you that means it's basically you're launching your token. And IPO's case, you're making your company public. You're taking your company from private company and you're making it public. Okay, so you're putting it out there for anybody to go ahead and participate. So basically, that's the analogy I would say. So yeah, so coming back to this, so first thing, decentralization. Largest is powered by RPC, largest decentralized RPC network provider, which is the shadow operators within the shadow protocol, and they're making this experience trustless because they are offering just the platform itself, and you can do what you choose. All right, so yeah, then they're not going to be they're not going to be sitting around with you and judging you. Hey, your project is bad, your project is good, or your project, I don't know about it. So they're not going to be involved with all of those sort of BS, you know. But anyway, so yeah, and why they're doing that is because mainly because, like, look, you know your project much better than anybody else. Okay, let's say you have a project and you want to put it out there, you know it much better than anyone else. And why are you doing it for? If you're genuinely doing it, you're doing it for your community or for your because you want to add value, you want to add a service, you want to create a business on top of this whole Web3 thing. Good for you, and you want to offer something, to out there to the market, yeah, and also, it's just better for the Solana ecosystem, the much more genuine projects who come up in the whole ecosystem. It just makes the whole broader Solana ecosystem much more sound, and so that people can see, hey, look, there's amazing projects over there. And I mean, Genesis Go themselves, they are one of the leaders. They are. I would say, like, they lead by example, so they're driving all their products in that direction. That is just from my point of view. Okay, so from my research, from my point of view, of course, like, it could be biased, but I mean, you could do your own research, and I'm sure, like, you would feel the same as well. But yeah, that's just my thought. And of course, like, we can agree to disagree as always, so there's no harm in that. But anyways, to the third point, what makes their IDEO platform unique is like, they're going to make this whole system trustless, and they're going to make it automate. They're going to make this platform automated, which is powered by a smart contract. As you know, if you've been in Web3, you know what a smart contract is. So smart contract is basically a piece of code which runs out there, and it's just there. It's code. It's open source, and I mean, basically the smart contract, what it is. So it's out there and nobody can change it, and so on and so forth. But it depends. Like, it depends who can change it. There are so many different ways how to change it, but like, it's all done by all these systems, like governance of DAOs and so on and so forth. Okay, but let's not get into all of that. So their IDEO platform is going to be trustless, is going to be automated, and it's going to be powered by a smart contract. All right, and how are they building this smart contract? They're building this smart contract through Anchor, which is a framework which is created by Armani Ferrante. If you already know him, great. And this is going to be 100% on chain. Okay, as you know, the ethos of Web3 is to have this transparency, so that we don't have to trust what people say. You don't have to trust anybody what people say. You can just verify all the details and the information on chain. Okay, on chain is, that means on the blockchain itself, on different explorers and so on and so forth, like Solscan, or like, Solana Explorer and so on. And yeah, so Anchor is basically this platform. Just go ahead and, like, Google Anchor framework, and you would see this. Okay, so basically, Anchor is a C-level Solana framework. It's basically a much more you developer friendly tool to go ahead and deploy smart contracts on Solana without without having to code on Rust, because this gives you much more flexibility. Okay, so it's sort of a framework which is pretty similar to what ETH developer experience is, like Solidity, Truffle, Ganache, Web3, JS, Parity Zinc, and so on and so forth. But yeah, let's get back to the IDEO platform. If you want to learn more, just go ahead and Google and feel free, all right? But yeah, so yeah, it's going to be powered on chain. It's going to be powered 100% on chain via fully audited smart contracts. So smart contract, as you know, it's a piece of software. Well, and software is just code. Okay, so how do you know a code is doing what it's supposed to do? You need to audit it. And who does this audit? Like, you could do it yourself if you're a programmer, and I mean if you're a developer, and I mean if you just know how to read code and you can execute the code in a command line or whatever environment, it's feasible. If you can do that, great. And I mean, you would be able to audit it yourself. You don't have to trust like third-party audits. But in this case, yeah, like I mean, they would audit it. Their engineers would definitely audit it themselves, and they would be auditing it through other third-party security auditors or firms, or there are separate companies who audits all of these sort of codes, and they make sure to produce a report on if there's a vulnerability, or if there's if everything is great and if everything is looking secure and the code does what it says it's supposed to do, and so on and so forth. So these smart contracts are going to be audited, all right? And yeah, like coming back to the fourth unique point, or why is Genesis Go's platform unique, is like they're creating this touchless experience. Like I mentioned in the second point, you don't need to DM, you don't need to you don't need to be in the business of vetting projects. They don't want to select project, they don't want to filter out any project. If you're really passionate about doing something and creating a service, or creating an IDO for your project and launch a token in the market, you can do so by doing that. They're not going to stop you from like Genesis Go is not going to stop you from doing that. Okay, they're not going to say police you or something like that. Like, hey, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. Of course, nobody likes that, right? So, and that's the whole ethos of Web3, all right? And like Frank mentions over here, kiss the ring. We don't want devs to feel as if they need to come and kiss the ring. It's like, so if someone is a boss, or back in the days when there are kings and queens and so on and so forth. So you you go and kiss, yes, boss. So yeah, basically, yeah, basically you don't need to do that. You just it's fair, because that's why you keep it touchless, and you have that experience itself, so that so it's much more fair for anybody to participate. So yeah, you wouldn't need to DM any of their developers and so on and so forth. I'm probably betting that they're just going to ignore you if you try to influence them through any of this. Yeah. And yeah, the fifth point is to create a use case for Shadow itself, and that is the exactly reason why they're going to power this using the Shadow token what they have created, right? So suppose like Genesis Go, they had this IDO and they created the Shadow token. Now it's time to create some use cases around it, which makes a lot of sense for their company, for their business, for their service, for their whole community, and also for the whole Solana community itself, right? So this is how they are going to power this. The IDEO platform is going to be powered by the Shadow currency itself. Okay, and we will get into a bit more detail in just a bit. And as you can see, it doesn't require you to give a percentage of your IDEO tokens away either. For example, like what does this mean? This means like there are different, like if you have participated in IDOs before, you know what I mean. And what I mean is like, there's so many other this IDO launchpads or this platforms where, you connect with someone and you like with them and you say, hey, I have this project, this is the how I actually build my tokenomics, how I want to allocate my tokens appropriately. And now they'll ask you, hey, you need to give us some percentage of the tokens if you want to actually use our platform or use our launchpad, or and they're going to say, hey, your community is going to get some discount or get some whitelist if you use our token, like the platform providers itself, like the launchpad providers will have their own token, so they'll try to include their tokenomics as well. All right. So the thing is, the point I'm trying to make is like your tokenomics is about your community, is about your project. And in this case, when you use Genesis Go's IDO platform, you don't need to give the Genesis Go team, hey, this is a portion of my token which is going to be allocated for you. There is nothing of that sort to do, all right? So that is why they're using the shadow currency itself, which makes much more sense as a currency within the whole utility of this IDO platform. But how is the utility of the shadow going to be done? Okay, each project who wants to do an IDO will need to deposit 15,000 USDC denominated in shadow terms. 15,000, let's say 15, because USDC is a stable coin, so let's say $15,000, but equivalent to the shadow token. So that is the amount that you need to, instead, the platform will require projects to deposit 15,000 equivalents of shadow tokens, as you see over here. So, just yeah, to recap this, or the TLDR would be like, the IDEO platform fees are like, because the fees of the platform, which is 15,000, is going to be paid, and this is the funds which is going to be used in order to make a project's IDO successful. The launch of this IDO, or the launch of that token or that IDO, the whole process to make it successful. And because how is this going to be made successful? Not just automatically, right? And these are all softwares and hardware. And since they are integrating, they're having this largest RPC network provider, which is decentralized. And so this decentralized RPC network providers are nothing but the shadow operators who's decentralized. And so all these shadow operators or the servers, they need because they are doing this from their own pocket right now, because and that is why they need to get paid, right? So I mean, because they're offering this service. So this platform fees, which is the 15,000, are going to be fed directly into the shadow operators who are contributing compute to this whole decentralized RPC network that powers over and yeah, the whole RPC network. The the decentralized RPC network, it powers approximately over like 50% of the entire like Solana traffic itself. So they are already successful in doing this, and they are asking for this small little incentive to make this process even more decentralized. Then not even more decentralized, to make it fully decentralized, and to make the experience much more transparent, so that anybody can participate, any genuine person can participate. And also, just to clarify the point that I've mentioned this word launchpad, and I've given you a few examples, but what exactly, like, is this whole thing that we are discussing right now, is it a launchpad? No, it's not a launchpad. It's just an IDO platform. Okay, IDO platform is basically like you will get a front end, like a user interface, and you will go there, you will deposit your token, you will customize, and we will get into that in just a bit. So, but just to understand, this is not a launchpad, okay, and this is just a platform. What's the difference between a launchpad and a platform? The difference, not the only difference, there are so many differences, but here I'll just touch on a few. Is like a launchpad will offer you like services like, hey, they will say, hey, we will do marketing for you. We will help you with like, to gather a team. If you don't have a team, maybe we will get all these personnel, and we will help you with the hiring. We will help you with getting the word out there, getting connections, getting funding from VCs or private individuals, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of different things that you can get into, because once if you get into this, you if you are already into this, like you have like all your Telegram chats and all your Signal chats and all your Discord chats, where you have all these private people like just speaking to one another, and the whole process of a launchpad is not really that transparent, okay? And I mean, people might disagree, but they can. But this is like, if you are already participated in it, you'll have like, calls on Twitter Spaces. I mean, it's good that you're having calls on Twitter Spaces, but that's not the public call. They'll already make sure to have a private call and discuss all of this, so that when they go out in the public, they're much more like, okay, okay, like that. So like, to make it seem like much more general. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to give any commentary on this launchpad. They're great. They've been there, they've done what they are supposed to do in the recent past, or in the recent years. But we need to make progress in that. Okay, we need to see, hey, what were the good things that we can take from that? What were the bad things? What were the negative things? We can just leave it aside, and implement much more better systems. All right, so that's what innovation is all about, right? Like, if something is created, like an opportunity, because back in the days in 2017, there was something called as like ICOs and so on and so forth, like initial coin offerings, like in exchanges and so on and so forth. And you can do it privately also. And there were a lot of scams, and like a lot of rug pulls and so on and so forth. And nowadays you have like initial exchange offering for to launch your token on some centralized exchange. But if you want to do it on a decentralized chain, you go through this IDO platform, which Genesis Go is about to offer, which I think is a much more refined solution compared to what we have seen in the past. All right. So of course, like, it's maybe it's not going to be the perfect solution, but we have seen from the example how the whole process was, like how a project or a team or a developer can or a dev can smoothly do this IDO thing, okay, without having too much of a hassle and stuff like that. So that is exactly what this is. So it's not a launchpad, it's a platform. It's a platform as a service, I would say. All right. And the most important value is that the value we bring is strong, solid infrastructure that will allow devs to have a strong foundation to launch their project on their own. As I mentioned, and the Genesis Go wouldn't be forcing them to do token prayers, like I mentioned. Launchpad, they will have launchpads. Most of the launchpad, they will have their own token. Okay, and once your project's token is launched, like let's say there's a project who wants to do an IDO, they will say, hey, can you pair your token with our token in the market, and we can do some liquidity and blah blah blah. It's just fucking ridiculous. It's fucking, yeah, of course it's good, it makes sense, but like, yeah, there's a lot of things which goes on. Okay, so yeah, and the people who put add liquidity to that, they know now. But anyways, no commentary on that. Maybe some of them are good, some of them are bad, but majority of them were could be better, let's say. Okay, could be better. Okay, we can do much more better as a whole ecosystem. That's the whole point I'm trying to make. Okay, so yeah, yeah, so they won't be forcing you to do any of the token pairs with their shadow token. All you need to do is, the only requirement is, hey, you deposit 15,000 USDC in form of shadow, and you're through. Okay, there's nobody you need to contact, nobody you need to DM or anything like that. Okay, just get it done with. Okay, your IDO. All right, but yeah, how would the process look like? Like this is like just an intro process. They are thinking of this, and that is exactly like. And you know what I really appreciate about this Genesis Go project itself, like the whole project and Shadow protocol itself. They're like they think from fundamental, from fundamentals. They don't try to overcomplicate stuff. They because Web3 is complicated, and it's Web3 is complicated. It just goes left and right. But the point is, they are simplifying all of this thing. And I mean, in my eyes, in my view, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. You don't need to complicate stuff which is already complex. You just need to make it simple and make it very straightforward, make it accessible by anybody, okay? And you just need to put it out there, put a platform out there, and whoever wants to use it will use it, okay? And of course, like, so how does this process of this whole idea, like let's say you want to go ahead and launch a token, okay? You want to do an IDO for your token, for your project, okay? How would the process look like? Okay, so this whole platform will give you different options how you can customize your IDO. Like for example, like if you want to do your IDO, you need to know what is the date and time that you're going to do it, and like what type of wallet you would need, what currency would you use, and what type of like where would your coins be listed, which dexes, because after all, initial dex offering is like you're offering your token into the dexes, which is nothing but decentralized exchange like Orca, Radium, Aldrin, and so on and so forth. You have many, so yeah, so you have all these like you would be able to select all these conditions, like what type of IDO is it, like would it be Dutch style auction or like traditional style of auction, like do you want a floor price for your token, do you want a minimum price which would be for your token to sell, or to which you would be willing to sell. That's called the floor price, Yeah, I think you already know that. But yeah, and what would the withdrawal period be like, and how would you want to do that? And also, yeah, all these different types of customization, you can do that within the platform itself. So it's basically like you enter into the platform, and let's say you just want to launch your token, you enter all the details and how much would be the reserve, and to you could also select what are the different pools and token pairs that you're going to have within for your token. For your token, you can create all of that, because after all, after the IDO is done, after the IDO is launched, you're going to put it out there in the public, right? In the public, in all these dexes. So you would need to mention all of this within the platform itself, and you would also need to mention some of the other things which would need to keep a track of all the wallet addresses, like you need to mention the IDO address, the treasury wallet address, and I mean and also the user's address. You would need to associate and distribute your tokens for people who actually participated in your IDO, right? So you need to account for all of those stuff, and all those options would be available within the platform. And of course, it's not like they're just going to create this platform and leave it. Of course, there's going to be lots of updates and iterations on top of it. So yeah, that's great. And yeah, and since it's an IDO and like you're launching something, so the first thing is, like I mentioned previously, the date and time. You need to you need to mention that as well, and then just go out into the market. Like I mean, just make your project successful, and yeah, like I mentioned in the past, like uh, look, they put your disclaimer: we will not help you market your idea, we will not retweet for you, please do not DM us, we are using your IDO like people say, hey, please don't DM us saying, hey, we are using your IDO platform. Could you support us by retweeting our our like post or like something like that? So they're not going to do any of this stuff. They're going to remain as neutral as possible because they primarily you just have to think like who is Genesis Go? Like where are they coming from? They're like a business or a service or a company who provides infrastructure. Okay, they're not in the business to influence somebody that, hey, this project's idea is good, this project's idea is not good. Of course, like in the market, people will be excited and hyped about all of this stuff. That's fine, but like they are not going to be actively doing any of this stuff, okay? Because they have to remain neutral. And um, um, I tend to believe, yeah, they can do that because they have the mentality of the team is like that. You can sense it, when you speak to them or when they're talking to you. Of course, like everybody loves memes and stuff like that. That's fine because like nowadays you memes is a different form of language as well. But what I'm trying to say is not what I'm trying to say. What I'm what I'm saying and what they have mentioned is they're going to be neutral as possible. Okay, no taking sides, no picking who the losers, who the winners, or like any sort of that stuff. And post IDO, like what happens within the process or within the platform post IDO, you can go to the UI and collect your IDO funds. So basically, you remember, like if you participated in the IDO, like users were able to go ahead and redeem their shadow tokens for the amount that they contributed. So you'll be able to go ahead and do that as well. And that would be the option on the platform side of things for the projects itself. All right, so they'll be able to do that, and then they'll be able to transfer them to the different addresses like to the treasury wallet, and it distributed also amongst the people who have the addresses, the wallet addresses who have participated in that. All right, so all those will be taken care by the platform itself. All right, so that's the type of service what they're offering. And of course, now coming into like like I mentioned in the past, like I mentioned previously, that shadow is going to be the currency who's going to shadow is going to be the currency within the shadow protocol itself, and it is also going to be the currency which is going to incentivize the shadow operator, because like I mentioned, these guys are independent operators who are providing compute to through all these servers in a decentralized way at their own expense. So like of course, like it's not it's not logical, right, to offer this service for free. So if you want something, you pay something, or I mean, you give something. And what are you giving? You're giving 15%, 15,000 of like USDC in shadow tokens terms, okay? And shadow tokens itself is a multi. They want to build as much as relevant use cases on top of like the shadow token itself. So it's a multi-use case token, multi-utility token, you could say, however you want to call it. So they're adding value to this, and this not only empowers their IDO platform itself, but it empowers the Shadow protocol, the Shadow operators, the Shadow protocol, GenesysGo, and the whole entire Solana community itself. All right, so this is why you need Shadow. And this is why you would need shadow, okay, that 15,000 shadow in order to do an IDO. Now some people will be saying, hey, why does it cost so much, why does it cost 15,000? Man, just ask yourself, come on, if you give something for free, there are going to be a lot of scams and rugs and like all of this. Uh, it's going to create this whole ecosystem in a very they're not going to be good projects, okay, if you give something for cheap. Okay, you need to also that, like, the barrier to entry shouldn't be so high too that it's not affordable. 15,000 I think is, in from my perspective, very reasonable, and anybody who's serious about to do an idea, or to offer something valuable to the, or to add value to the Solana ecosystem, should be able to afford that, by all means. And I mean, it also adds, like, you'd say, like, what people say, like, having a skin in the game, right? Like, I mean, that shows that you're actually motivated, and you are not just motivated, you know what you're doing, and you want to actually do it. You're serious about it. You don't just want to go out there and, like, do an IDO, and just after, like, three announcements or four announcements, like, you keep on launching different announcements, and but there's no added value to your community. And then all of a sudden, you just got people in the community get rugged. The Discord goes off, the Twitter goes off, and everything just goes off, lights off. So that's pretty scary. So we want to avoid all of that. Not just them. I think we as a community should also support that initiative, so that we have that barrier to entry, but it should be quite affordable. It should be quite affordable and reasonable. Okay, there always needs to be a reason why, and this is exactly one of the reasons why. And maybe in the future, 15,000 USDC, in terms of shadow, like, you would need less shadow, maybe, because who knows, if the price of the shadow token goes up, like, in the future, who knows? So that means you would need less shadow tokens. So if you think it that way, it's actually not that much, because the people who, like, I generally tend to think the people who are already holding a lot of shadow tokens will be the ones in the future who would be going ahead and probably doing an IDO for their own project, or so on and so forth. But I could be wrong. But of course, we need new participants, and so on and so forth. So that's great, because new people come into the industry, and that'll be good for everybody. All right. But anyways, coming back to the utility. So now you understand why they are actually building this, and what makes it unique. You also understand, is it a launchpad or a platform, and you understand the difference. You understand what would the process be like if you use their shadow Genesis Go's IDO platform, and you know what the process would be like from start to finish. And you would also, why they are using the shadow as the currency, and why you would need that 15,000 shadow. You also know that reason. But and you also know, like, why does it cost, why is the cost like 15,000 USDC? All right. But now, coming back to, like, the platform itself, like, one would say, hey, when we hear, like, 100% audited smart contract, now you ask the question, hey, is the smart contract, would it be open source? Because that's that's the ethos, right, of, like, Web3, that, like, I mean, digital as a space, what we have seen so far is, like, everything is open source, everyone can see the code, and so on and so forth. But you have to understand that these guys are not offering, like, a DEX or something like that. It's not a DApp or something like that. It's a platform, all right? So they are going to audit the whole code through third-party auditors, and they are going to publish this report for the public to see. But they're not going to open source the smart contract code itself, because that means they would lose the edge, right? Because someone else can take that code and create their own IDEO platform. And so, I mean, all these efforts by their engineers, and by their by the hardware engineers as well would be in vain, right? Like this is a unique solution, and this is a unique solution, and it's much more like a platform. So it's just a online service which you can access, and of course it'll be running on smart contract. The smart contract will be fully audited, and it would be made sure that it's secure from the third party auditor's perspective and the expert's perspective. But yeah, like I mean, is there risk? Yes, there is always risk, there is always a risk. If somebody tells you like, hey, our code is perfect and our software is perfect, we are 100% confident that we cannot have any bugs, and we are very confident on that, man. I think one should just walk away and not use that service. But you always need to have that skepticism, but also you need to build the trust by actually reading through the audit, making sure you know what you're getting into. If you want to leverage, and not just this IDEO platform, but any other platform in general, and you need to build that confidence for yourself, or maybe for your team, or and so on and so forth. But the thing is, you have to understand, you always have to be transparent, because transparency builds the trust. Okay, if you're not transparent enough, and if you say, hey, like, look, I'm 100% confident, my code will function, it'll never fail, and it has never failed, and so on and so forth. Of course, it could be the case, but the thing is, you have to be transparent, and you have to be honest with yourself, not just yourself, but for the community itself. Because if something goes wrong, like, I mean, it's people's hard-earned money, So yeah, for some people it could be just gambling money, but for some people it could be like, really they want to invest or speculate or whatever, whatever could be the case. But anyways, we need to respect other people's funds, or like whatever. Okay, so you get the point. But you just need to be transparent enough. Okay, and how do they do this? By actually publishing this report, this smart contract audit report, for the public to actually go ahead and see that. All right, but they will not be open sourcing the smart contract code itself. Okay, which is fine in my case. Which is fine in my case. Like, if I see, like, the security audit is fine and everything is pretty cool enough, and who's doing the audit, and is it like just one company who audited it, or multiple people? Maybe there could be yeah, there could be like multiple companies who audit their code, or and all these audits, yeah, yeah, you need a large sum of capital, to do this audit once. It's not like, hey, please do that, please do an audit. I'll give you like maybe 50,000. No, I don't think so. It's 50,000. It's much more than that. So it's maybe in millions or something like that. So because because it's these sort of services, there are people who are doing this, but like the thing is, it's I would say it's still a challenge to find good auditors or security researchers, okay, in the Web3 space in general, because it's such a new like such a new like ecosystem, that a lot of engineers who are in this space, maybe they understand the code, but they don't understand the whole concept of like Web3 itself. So they wouldn't understand how the code works, or how the code does what it does, why it does. So, okay, so there's a lot of things to understand, okay? And yeah, like I mentioned, like do your own research, and I always do my own research. And despite that, like doing your own research, you could come across like some of not so good experience, let's say. But that's how it is. And who it is, like, just a comment on like the security side of things. We have to blame ourselves if we make any blunder. It's not anybody's fault. There are people out there who are trying to um, take advantage of people who are not aware of all of this stuff. So you need to be aware, you need to be careful, and careful in the sense, how would you do that? Like, first of all, think like, who's the weak link? You are the weak link. Like me, humans are the weak link, okay, through social engineering and different tactics, different ways, people can be manipulated. And from like my personal experience also, when I was working with Nestle a few years ago in cybersecurity as an analyst, I remember like there were like so many systems, like so many in the sense in thousands, in multiple thousand, like 300,000 systems, which we used to get like hacked, or like in the sense like they used to get all these phishing emails and so on and so forth. So, and there were out of so many other, like out of those 300,000 employees and multiple thousand employees every day, someone used to fall for all of this. They used to click on that and so on and so forth, because and still, even after training and education, you give them sessions after sessions after session, every quarter they have a session, and people don't understand. It's just because not people don't understand. It's just like it's how humans are. So and in Web3, it's a whole new different level, okay? Because we are influenced by our emotions, okay? If we can keep our emotions in control, and if we try to say, hey, let this go. If let's say if I'm not feeling right from my perspective, if I'm not feeling 100% right about something like that, or I'm not 100% convinced about something, that it is secure, or that I want to actually get into it, I would just walk away. I just like, hey, I'm going home. I have another day. There will always be something new which will come up. Let this boat sail, because you're not sure. You don't want to rush your decision making. You always, and even if you want to rush your decision making, you always need to understand that, hey, if something goes wrong, the blame is on us and you, okay? So it's on us, okay? Do not blame anybody for anything. It is our mistake, because we didn't do our research, or we didn't. You get the idea, okay? So now, coming back from the rant, okay? That's enough of rant of security. We can do a whole security video some other day, but I just wanted to let you know the weak link is us, okay? And yeah, just make sure to do the research on that as well, and don't trust anybody. Don't trust anybody. Just don't trust. Do your own research. Even if you take different people's opinion or suggestions or so, that's great. That's great. You want to take different perspectives and suggestions. That's great. But always make sure you have your own set of points, and you have your own set of thoughts, and you do your own research. You make your research, and try. I don't know how you want to do that. Maybe take different people's other suggestions and try to see, because it's very subjective, because you do your research, and then you see, hey, a person who has like around 1 million followers on Twitter or wherever, oh, they are saying that, oh, so that person must be correct, because that's why he or she has like so many followers. I don't think so that approach is true. I don't I 100% disagree with that sentiment, or with that belief at all costs. You want to do your research, who that person is, what do they know, how do they know, how, like, why are they saying this, and all that stuff. It's a lot of different things, all right? So, but anyways, I can just go on about this, but like, yeah, just maybe you already know about this, and if you already know and you're protected, and you're always feeling safe, that's great, and that is exactly what we need to do. But anyways, let's get back to the article and finish it up. All right. So just a recap of everything. Okay, so their smart contract code is, it won't be open source, but the audit report will be published. Yeah, the shadow, you would need 15,000 USDC worth of shadow token. USDC, yeah, 15,000 USDC worth of shadow tokens denominated in shadow tokens to actually go ahead and use the IDO platform, you would require like yeah, you know that Shadow is a currency within their IDO platform. You also know the different processes, what will take place once you use their platform or you plan to use their platform, and you also know the difference between Launchpad. And I think I covered like all of this. But anyways, I'll leave this whole article for you in the description, and make sure to check it out. If you already checked out, that's great. And if you have stayed here till the end and understood all the points, and that's great as well. And yeah, so I think I covered everything. All right, so yeah, go ahead and watch this video if you haven't already, and I'm gonna link it anyways. So yeah. Yeah, so yeah, the just putting it all together, this is going to be a new product for the Genesis Go and for the entire Solana ecosystem to leverage. And yeah, it's one of the use cases for Shadow token itself. So that's great for the community. And yeah, basically, Genesis Go as a company or blockchain infrastructure providers, they are trying to bring in the best developers, best software and the hardware engineers together and to build all of this stuff. And of course, like I hope they keep expanding. Good luck with everything that they do. And yeah, I am always looking out for progress from them, from the whole community itself, and from everybody. All right. So I hope it explains everything, and also the short rant about like the security side of things, because it's important. It's important. It's just like it's very important. All right. So yeah, have a nice evening, have a nice day, and have a nice weekend. All right. I'll see you when I see you. All right. Bye now.